what? The younger brother didn't like his name, so he chose the same name, Glenn, as his older brother. And there were two profiles on the same Xbox with the same character pictures and the same character names. And that's the story. That's it. And we couldn't tell them apart. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking with it.
All right, well, we got a game up over here. CsOH versus Leenock. This is the first round of the winner's bracket in Golden League 2, a best of 3 between the two. And we are playing on Dry River with a dock coming up for CsOH right from the get-go.
Indeed. So we're on the map Dry River here. This is another map that I've not seen before. A little bit like a cross between Ancient Spires and Dry Arabia. I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. One of the things that always annoys me about Ancient Spires are the spires on it. It's like, I know that's the name of the map, but it's like, just get out of my way. I like the design of this map, actually. This is legit. This is cool. So we've got a little bit of a dock opening coming through from CSO. I kind of imagine his name kind of like CSGO, but CSO instead. Delhi versus Ottomans. How do you feel about this matchup?
It's an interesting one, especially considering what you've just said a couple of minutes ago about Delhi in the previous set. Delhi, with the settings that we run here in the first round of Golden League, no stone walls, no keeps, you have your options kind of limited. So, in essence, even if not strictly speaking, but in essence, you're still kind of one-trick pony, which relies very heavily on that Dark Age fishing. And once it's gone, or if that's gone, your options are somewhat limited compared to what other civilizations are able to do in these settings.
Yeah, to me, it feels like the Delhi's only real play is like invest heavily in fishing and then kill them early castle. Because you can't make keeps, you don't get village fortresses, you can't drop keeps down on sacred sites, you can't drop keeps in the enemy base. What can you do with Delhi? I mean, there's nothing else to the Delhi game plan. That's it. It's the game plan at the moment is literally just get lots of food from fishing and make knights and try and kill them. Like, that's it, right? I can't think of anything else.
Exactly, and don't forget that healing in combat was also changed, so it's not like as it was before. Then, obviously, as you said, Compound of the Defender, while it got massively buffed under the settings we're running here in the first round of Golden League, that's not something that's gonna matter. So, yeah, indeed, it's gonna be curious to see how CsOH is going to approach this. Whereas on the other side, Leenock just opens with the standard military school opening for the Ottomans. First Spearman already lurking close to the gold mine of CSO.
Yeah, I think this is the right play. Obviously, can't go after the fishing boats, just simply because of the fishing boats having a ranged attack. I'm curious as to whether we see him go for additional ponds. One of the things I love doing on Ancient Spires is just taking every single pond. There's nothing to really stop you from it, and it's very difficult to punish something like that, because you take every pond, you put a Hulk in every pond, and you just laugh at the enemy. We do see villagers moving out. They managed to get 3 stabby stabs. Oh, he had them locked on. I don't know exactly why he moved them. He was fine right there. You got to remember that these shivs, they've got a pretty long range on them. As long as they get the connection, they're absolutely fine.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget that you will have a scholar to heal these villagers with. So right now, the reason why Leenock is still committing to this is because forcing idle time is already valuable. There's quite a lot of idle time on these villagers. Plus, you also have to pull the scholar. So the value in this one Spearman, especially knowing that you've gotten it for free, is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I've got to agree. Yeah, it's very nice early on to have this and just be super annoying the same way that Leenock has done. But we do have the age up now coming through. It's going to be the Dome of the Faith coming in for CSO. So I do like this play from CSO because this is definitely suggesting a play towards that castle age rather than going towards a bit more of a heavy feudal infantry style. So definitely the right play, considering, because I mean, you can go for a heavy infantry style, but how are you going to kill your enemy? I think cavalry is definitely the way to play it, and Dome of the Faith lends itself towards that cavalry style a lot better than the Tower of Victory does.
Exactly, especially because even if you want to go for the Tower of Victory, don't forget that you're going to be up against the Metters. So it's not like you're going to have a gigantic advantage. Best thing that you can do is kind of just offset the Metter buff, but you can kind of accomplish the same thing by just building a larger mass of archers and picking off the Metter from a distance. And then once you do that, you actually probably benefit more from the Dome of Faith.
Yeah, got to agree. All right, well, let's take a look down at Leenock's pond. I want to see exactly how many villages he's got, or how many fishing boats he's got sitting over on his pond. Because we've got a good little sneaky peek at CsO. Yeah, so numbers looking pretty good down here. Sitting on about 6 fishing boats. So pretty decent stuff here from both of these guys. I think it still definitely favors CsO, though. There's an early window that he can look to exploit. Yeah, I think the question's going to be whether he goes for it or not. You'd expect him to be able to identify that, right? Who did he play against in the first round? Do we know who that was?
Let me check. So CsO actually beat Soldier 2-0, and he actually played Delhi in game number 1 as well in that set, but the games were on Altai and Dry Arabia, or at least that's what the bracket site is telling us. Now, I don't reckon Altai being in a map pool, so that might just be the bracket side being a little wacky. Yeah, it is. So we actually don't know what the first map was in that matchup.
That's kind of wild. So he beat Soldier, who, by the way, an incredibly good player, and he beat him with Delhi. So, I mean, that just goes to show the strength of CsO's Delhi at the moment. So don't count him out here against Leenock. I know at the moment, when it comes to the predictions, I think Leenock sitting at about 90% chance to win, or at least people have bet 90% of EGCTV points on Leenock. So definitely going to be fighting an uphill battle here, it seems. Yeah, let's take a look at Leenock though. Wheelbarrow coming through, double broad axe on the way in as well. Second military school, so he's heavily investing in his economy.
Yeah, he's also working his way towards stone. Now, that could be for dock emplacement, that could be for outpost emplacements, or you could also flirt with the idea of going for a second town center, because so far it's not like CsO is applying a lot of pressure. He's just kind of preoccupied making sure that those docks stay intact.
See, the way I think about it is like, I'm only going to die to one thing, right? And it's going to be a castle age timing push.
Yep.
As long as I survive that, I'm okay. So that's where I'm like, if I went for a second TC, maybe I die to a castle age timing push. So I'm just gonna play it safe. You know, mass up a couple units, enough to deny sacred sites, go castle myself, get out a good crossbow mass, defend the push that inevitably comes, and then just, you know, keep on moving on with my life towards everything else, because the Delhi Sultanate can't place any keeps down. What do I have to be concerned about?
Yeah, that's a good point that you're making, so it's gonna be interesting to see how Leenock approaches that. He's still on stone, so whatever he's doing, he's gonna need a lot of stone for that. Now, he still has a decent amount of presence over here with the Spearman, and I love how he actually popped the Imams to heal them. So he still has some sort of presence in midfield, and that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for CsO to secure 2 sacred sites. 1 sacred site on the left side of the map should be no problem for him. Second one, Leenock could potentially contest.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong there. It's, to be honest, I'm kind of liking the position of CsO though. He's got some pretty decent numbers out on the field now. The main thing to note is that Leenock definitely seems like he's going castle though. Like, just judging from the resources that he's got, the fact that he goes for the Imams as well is to me like a great indication that he's going to be going for an early castle, which is the right play, I think, here. The only thing, as I mentioned before, that he's likely to lose to is going to be that castle age timing push. So the sooner he gets there, the better. But at the same time, he's got to make sure that he doesn't allow CsO to take too many of the sacred sites. Otherwise, it's going to be a CS. Oh, no. I stole that one. I stole that one from a fellow father. Thanks, Killer Pigeon.
Well, for the time being, Leenock is very heavy on wood, but he pulled away the villagers from stone. For now, as you see, as you said, he's going to work his way towards Castle Age, but he also kind of respects the army that CsO has on the field, so he will still start mixing in some Sipahi, potentially even try to contest the sacred side in the middle, which is going to be a little tricky with a pawn being right next to it. So if you're CsO, you're probably thinking about a combat ship being added on that little pond.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea, actually. Nice way to defend it as well. Just with a Hulk, you could always potentially look for a demo ship as well if you want to try and bait in your enemy. That's going to be something that we've got to be aware of. I'm getting excited just the thought of moving in and taking that. But CsO doing the right thing. And this is what I love Delhi players doing. Take all 3 sacred sites immediately. As soon as you've got Sanctity, just do it. The gamble, the potential for it to pay off is so high. The chance that it's going to go well is like 85 to 90%. So it's... yeah, it's just so important to do it.
Yeah, now Leenock is sending 1 Sipahi to the right side. It was going to be matched with a horseman by CsO, but as you said, the gamble it's a good gamble you're looking at, because you're most likely gonna get the sacred site eventually, and even if you just hold it for a couple of seconds, it's worth it. Speaking of which, big fight coming up here in the middle for that one sacred site. Scholars and Imams are both in there in the mix, and for now, Leenock seems to be winning this one.
Yeah, Leenock doing a decent job, but at the same time, the fishing boat's getting in on the action as well. Scholar is going to get taken down on the backside. I don't see any Imam. Oh, there's the Imams on the middle of the sacred site. They're going to get cleaned up if Leenock loses those, and it definitely looks like he will. He's not going to have any access to pick up those relics before his opponent will. And CsO, at the same time, he sits on that sacred site. He's going to have to wait for another Scholar to get out here. And you can see him pushing forward very slowly, but the Spahi numbers looking pretty decent. At the same time, CsO just loving life, though. This is good for him. He's got the one sacred site. I'm increasingly liking his position.
Yeah, CsO's position is getting better and better. He's putting those resources onto the field, whereas for Leenock, he was banking up resources for a while. He was floating a lot, and that showed on the playing field. And now the numbers are a little deceiving because the army of Leenock is so heavily battered. Many of those Sipais heavily damaged, Imam's gone, so no chance for Leenock to heal them. Whereas on the other side, CsO is sitting on one sacred site already, he's got a good fishing eco, now walling off the middle, and he can still heal his horsemen.
Yeah, make that 2 sacred sites. He's up to 300 a minute passive gold coming through. He's feeling good about himself, that's for sure. And that 3rd sacred site in the north getting taken. This is looking better and better for CsO. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. We might have ourselves another upset on the cards. We saw CsO 2-0ing Soldier in the first round, and he's moved on to Leenock now, up against the big boys. The question's going to be whether he can take him out. Spahi moving around the backside, looking for a bit of a raid. Are there any villagers here? Maybe he might find vills on the tree line, potentially.
But look at CsO. He knows it's coming. He's rallying horsemen to the back of his wood line, and he's going to repel this without any issues. I love this. He will have just enough horsemen to repel this, but he won't have to pull the entire army back.
Really, really nice. And look at this aggression coming out from CsO. He's going to be able to do so much damage. All 3 sacred sites captured. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, 3 sacred sites captured, you know, the sacred victory's on the way. It doesn't matter. What matters is that 450 gold a minute, which is going to be turned into absolute crazy amounts of units. That's what you've got to be scared of. And look at the numbers here coming out. Looking to move in onto the wood line. Going to be picking up a couple of villagers here. The villager count pretty even at the moment. Scholars getting caught out of position. They're going to have to run away. First one gets taken out. Able to repel these Spahi, or rather the horsemen down on the south side. Archer numbers starting to build for Leenock, though. He's got 4 more in queue. He's intent on staying in this feudal age, but look at the numbers he's got. He's actually sitting on a potential castle age here, Lidakor.
Yeah, a little overzealous over here by CsO. It looks like he is going to commit. Still a couple of spearmen out there, though, so those horsemen are getting massacred, and the meta is still there. It's gonna be an even trade by the end, thanks to the spearmen, but that might not be perfect for CsO, because as you said, Leenock could be on his way to castle age, so it's a little difficult to judge who gets the better result out of this battle, I guess.
Yeah, I think CsO's still just happy with it, right? Because he's trading units. He has lost sacred sites, so that's one thing to note. I thought he was still holding all 3 sacred sites. It's not the case, and a huge shout out right now to Bonjour. Welcome everybody over from Bonjour's channel. Great to see you guys here. Welcome. We're here casting EGCTV's Golden League 2. And we've got ourselves some wacky rules today. Lidakor, do you want to run everybody through the rules so that they're up to date with what's going on here?
For sure. So welcome everybody from Bonjour as well. Guten Abend for all our German viewers coming in. It is indeed the first round of Golden League, and we have in these settings keeps and stone walls banned. So it's gonna be all open field action. You can still build palisades, you can still build outposts, but stone walls and stone fortifications, including keeps, are not available.
It really changes the dynamic for a lot of civilizations. As an example, the Delhi Sultanate, these guys rely on keeps. They need to be building their keeps so that they've got access to technologies like village fortresses, a really powerful technology that allows the keeps to produce villages and act as town centers. That's not possible anymore under these conditions. By the same token, the Ottomans are unable to build keeps, which means that their trade line can't be buffed up. So there's a lot of different ways that this can affect you. But most importantly, no stone walls for anybody. So it means that there is action all over this map all the time.
Exactly. Now Castle Age is in for both players. Uh-oh. These horsemen are unaccounted for. As much as Leenock is doing a good job sinking those fishing ships, this could be a disaster. Completely unaware of these horsemen massacring the villagers.
You say massacring, but I feel like this is a train, like a very, very slow train derailing. Oh, no, never mind those horsemen, though. That's a lot of horsemen. Okay. You know, when the 3 horsemen were attacking the villagers, I'm like, yeah, the villagers will just turn around once and kill them. But that many horsemen, that's a different story.
Indeed. Lack of gold is an issue for CSO. He's floating 1,500 food, and it's quite uncharacteristic to see the Delhi lacking gold, especially when they control 2 sacred sites. So that's definitely something that CSO is going to have to address, because now he needs to start switching into those premium units, the men-at-arms, and the knights more importantly.
Oh no, Lidakor, this is the classic patented Delhi Sultanate Fast Imperial that we're seeing from... Not really. I think, yeah, you're right. It might be a little bit of miss macro here, but yeah, look at the upgrades coming through in that top left-hand corner of your screen. Now, for anybody wondering as well, you can keep landmarks. They are allowed to be made. So Red Palace, you can make that. White Tower, you can make that. The Barbican of the Sun, you can make that as well.
Yeah, now, when it comes to the Delhi, the House of Learning also got some reasonable buffs over here, as we got a bit of a raid coming in here from Leenock. Raids left and right, honestly. And part of the story is the upgrade that's just now coming in for CSO, Reinforced Foundations, which allows villagers to garrison into houses and fire garrison arrows. It's actually a pretty good way to protect your eco and avoid stuff like this happening, for instance, on the other side of the field.
I gotta be honest, CSO is playing really good. I got no idea who CSO is. I know he plays a lot of team games, but this is crazy. He's playing up against one of the world's best players, top 10 Leenock from Korea, RTS legend, and CSO just casually pulling up on a Tuesday night like, hey, what's going on? Don't mind if I win over here.
Yeah, I don't sleep on CSO, man. I mean, he's one of the best team game players of the entire world, so... And he plays a lot of it. So, he's definitely a skilled player. Shows it over here so far. It's still a very much even game over here. Raids coming in on both sides. Now, CSO's army is a little slow now. And hold the phone, Aussie. Do you see what I see? Last time, you had a bit of an issue seeing the top of the screen. Let's try it now. What do you see for CSO?
I see a galley. Is it a galley? It's some sort of warship.
Who cares about the galley?
It's elephants. It's elephants. I know. I'm like, look, he's got a galley in the pond. That's what we're looking at, right? No, it's not. It's the elephants.
Oh, it's war elephants coming in now. War elephants have also received a complete revamp. They're much less tanky when it comes to the overall HP, but they are basically the arrow sponge. They start off with a very high ranged armor, and it can increase through technologies as well. So it's your perfect arrow sponge, and when Leenock is mostly going archers, it's actually a great tool to deal with them.
And speaking of arrow sponge, take a look at these men-at-arms. I don't know what upgrades we've got on these bad boys, but I tell you what, they are taking some damage from the backline right now. And they're ignoring the enemy units, it almost seems like. You hear a couple of crossbows clicking away. That's going to be enough to repel them, but look at this. More men-at-arms coming in. Look at the funnel of units coming through. This is the timing attack that Leenock needs to watch out for. This is what could take him out.
Exactly. It's a buffed barracks with the extra production coming from the Delhi. Men-at-arms diving in slow and steady. Finally, crossbows make an appearance here for Leenock, so he should be able to hold this, but it's only a handful of crossbows. He needs like 10 or so to be able to hold this. Looks like with the meter, with some spearmen joining the fun as well, this should be enough. So CSO will need something that deals with those crossbows now, and that's why the War Elephants are coming in.
Yeah, War Elephant's going to be doing a lot of damage here. These guys have been, I guess they're not necessarily buffed, not necessarily nerfed, but rather just reworked is probably the best way to say it. They've been changed a fair bit. They still do the same thing and smell the same as before. It's just that it's a little bit different.
It is.
A different feed for them.
It feels like a battering ram that's capable of doing something against other units as well. Now, it's going to be tricky against the spearmen. That's why he's sending in the men-at-arms first. But this is where this micro gets very difficult. These men-at-arms will just get picked off by the crossbows, and you will never have the chance to engage with those elephants.
Yeah, I'm starting to think like maybe CSO is losing his window right now. The men-at-arm timing was really, really solid, but the crossbows from Leenock, he got up to that castle age pretty early and was just able to build up that mass. And he's looking pretty solid at this point, but just be I'd give him a word of advice. Don't go near the pond, Leenock. Don't go near the pond.
That almost could be lethal over here. For now, Sacred Site is going to get taken, and CSO is going to have to reevaluate his game plan for various reasons. He's floating a lot of gold, having issues with other resources. He's going to lose the Sacred Site in the middle, but I think the problem for him is that he simply has no raiding forces. When you see Leenock, he still has a couple of Lancers that can loop around and hit the eco. CsO doesn't have that, and I would love to see him mix in a couple of Lancers and just flank Leenock's base. It's wide open for raiding.
Yeah, it's absolutely wide open. But yeah, you're 100% right. You can start to see Leenock tearing him apart at the seams. We've got outposts coming up in the north of the map. A little bit of Lancers dabbling in and out of the base. And yeah, just overall, a nice little push through the center of the map here. Leenock now bringing that Ottoman powerhouse online. Let's take a look at Leenock's base quickly. I want to check in with him and see whether we've got the 4 military schools up just yet. We'll have a look shortly and see what we've got. So there's the MIA. There's
yeah, to the north we have like at least 2.
Yeah, I saw 2 as well. We've got 4 military schools online, so they must be towards the top side of his base.
Oh, Janissaries are not being mixed in, and that's such a good addition. It's an anti-cavalry unit with a very high base damage, exactly what you want against a very heavily armored cavalry like the elephants. And not just the war elephants, but even if CsO decided to mix in some tower elephants, they would also work pretty well against them, as long as the tower elephants aren't shooting the Janissaries themselves.
Yeah, really good call. But elephant numbers at the moment, they've been somewhat stagnant, only sitting on 4 elephants. We've seen the crossbows beginning to rise, but there's nothing really here to deal with siege from CsO, and I think that's going to be a big issue that he's got, dealing with the enemy siege. Obviously, siege pressure going to be happening quite a lot through this game because of the Ottoman landmark. Access to the MIA is just going to mean that there's constant pressure on this map, and we do see 3 mangonels now out on the field.
Yeah, CsO is struggling with mobility big time. He's pursuing Lancers with Spearmen and Elephants, and that's never a thing you want to do. He's trying to build up walls, though. I love that a lot. But now a different problem arises. First of all, his food income is going to get just torn to shreds with this flank. More importantly, Leenock captured all 3 sacred sites, so he actually has a good passive gold income from that, and now he started the timer as well.
Yeah, Leenock just turning this game on its head. Look at that, 46 spearmen out on the field right now from Leenock. A huge amount of spears out here. And at the same time, we've got a couple of flanking elephants looking to try and close the gap. Managing to make it onto that backside here. Let's see if they can get some hits on. There we go, 1, 2, 3. Good night, sweet prince. And indeed, they shut down a single. Actually, they shut down a couple of lancers.
Yeah, if they can get a hit out, it's a massive hit. It's just the fact they're a little slow. And that's something that CsO is going to have a problem with. Look at the food income as well. Fishing gone, bear is gone. He's down to 0 food per minute, and now Leenock is in control of this game. I'm struggling to see a win condition right now for CsO.
Yeah, I got to agree. The win condition was those men-at-arms that we saw. So probably about like the 16-minute mark, 17-minute mark. The men-at-arms were flooding into the enemy base. That was the win condition, or the win opportunity, and that window is gone. And it means that right now, Leenock is just looking in an increasingly good position. And look at this! Look at the size of that infantry mass. That is huge. Jeez, good luck stopping that.
Yeah, not a single mangonel still from CsO. Trying a desperation Wololo. Nice little reaction out there from Leenock. He's going to pull his forces back. Now it's a full dive. Mangonel's coming in to support as well. CsO, those elephants, unless they turn the tide, which is unlikely, I don't see this working. And this raid just comes too little too late. But look at that. He's just diving in for landmarks.
Have we got a base race on the cards right now? Hold on a minute. I'm sitting up now. Give me a second. Okay, we got 3 landmarks in the front here. Where are the landmarks for Leenock?
All condensed. And elephants do a lot of damage. And look at what CsO is doing. He's doing the wall of lows to prevent the infantry from jumping the TC and delaying this. This is a race for the landmarks, Aussie.
Oh my lord, it's actually happening. We got ourselves a base race, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourselves ready. Get yourselves. Bring the popcorn out. I'm taking a sip of the Red Bull. Let's do it. Landmarks are going down everywhere. Janissary's getting called. Looks like a little bit of a defense here coming through from Leenock. Mangonel still firing out, doing some decent damage. There's no challenge whatsoever in the base of CsO. It is just all focus on the landmarks. Mangonel's at point-blank range. Huge amount of green units, though, in the base of Leenock. If he's able to take out these military units, which he is, we may indeed have a very good race on our hands. Who is going to be coming up victor? That's going to be the question. He needs to get these elephants onto the town center ASAP. You can see they're blocked in at the moment. Any landmarks going down just yet? Doesn't look like still 3 landmarks apiece.
This is crazy, Aussie. CSO had to take down those Janissaries because they killed the elephants so fast. First landmark goes down on the side of CSO. Elephants still not having an access though. It's a traffic jam.
What are the elephants doing? Elephants minding their own business, just doing circles around the mosque.
It's too late. Second landmark is gone from CSO, and there are enough spearmen to deal with that. Elephants just coming too late.
It's all just a miscalculation from CSO. The third landmark about to go down. Leenock claiming the first game in this series, an absolute nail-biter. Very well played game from him. And CSO putting up an absolute fight and a half, wasn't he?
Yeah, he made it look much closer than it was the last few minutes. That dive really turned heads. He just went in with the elephants, and don't sleep on those elephants. They're like battering rams. They take down buildings really fast. But Leenock had just enough presence with the Janissaries to delay this, and CSO had to fight that. He couldn't just start taking down the buildings because the Janissaries melt the elephants. He had to fight that, and after that, bit of a traffic jam. And by the time the elephants arrived, it was too late. Such a nail-biter, though, in the end, Aussie.
Yeah, that was a really, really good game. CSO, I tell you what, he makes those Delhi Sultanate actually look pretty damn viable. That was kind of scary. That got scary for Leenock, but he played it well. He kept his head about him and was fortunately able to keep himself alive and victorious. So we head into game number 2 now.